Hello and welcome to making a rig in Maya. We're using 2023, and if you're not quite sure of new features or just want to catch up on Maya, you can always look at the new interactive tutorials. I highly recommend them. But we're going to get started, so I'm going to click on to new, and as always we love to create a new folder structure. Whenever we do a project, always a folder. So I'm going to go to File, Project Window, and create new. We'll call this one Rig. And I'm happy with the location, so I'm going to hit Accept. And we're going to get started with creating the leg. And this one's going to be a bit tricky, but we should be able to get on with it. Now, usually we would have a guide, but we'll just rough it a bit today. So I'm going to change my menu here from modeling to rigging, and it brings up a whole new menu set. You notice if I change it, this whole menu set changes, and now I have access to the skeleton menu set, and I want to create a joint. I also have the tool settings over here, but I'm happy with the normal default. So I'm going to minimize that for now and bring back my outliner. And I'm going to go to the side view here. And very roughly, I'm just going to start clicking. Now click and hold with your mouse, and you can move it. I'm just going to click about there. Actually up a bit. Letting go, and then clicking to create a new joint for the knee. About there. So yeah, that's okay. Then the next bit for the ankle, down a bit more. Then ball the foot and out to the toe there. Yes, happy with that. And I can press enter, and that is your leg. But always you need to name your joints. So I can do this either in the channel box, and I can select all the different joints. And you notice that if I go down the hierarchy, going up and down the hierarchy of the joints. We go to outliner, I can open these up and just see how they are all connected to each other. Top one's going to be the hip. Then going down, we're going to enable this knee, ankle, foot, and then the toe. And there we go, we've got a whole leg. So when we work with the leg, if I were to get the rotate, you can see that we can rotate each section and it works the way you would want to if it was an action figure. Now this is called forward kinematics, where, you know, if the hip moves, everything else connected to it moves along with it. If the knee moves, then the toes, you get the idea. But what if I just wanted to grab the ankle and move it like a puppet on a string? Well, you can do that with inverse kinematics. To have access to these, you just go to Skeleton, and here we've got Create IK. I'm just going to click the little box here to bring up the tools. It's on Rotate Plane, which is I find more ideal for arms rather than legs. So I'm going to change that to Single Chain Solver. And now I'm just going to click on the hip bone to the ankle. And now, using the move tool, I can actually move it along. And it just makes life a bit easier. I'm also going to add a few more. So I'm going to get the last tool I used, which is over here. Grab the ball of the foot, click to the ankle, get the IK again, and do the same from the toe to the foot. This will be much easier to show later on. Basically, it helps connect the IK to the foot. The foot will move correctly with the controller, because quite frankly, having to find this tiny little line here and click on it can be a bit difficult, especially if your character's got or your mesh has got lots of detail in it. So we will be creating controllers. For now, as always, we need to rename them. So this one's the leg IK. This one down here is for the foot, so foot, IK, and now the toe. Oh, toe, IK. And what's really good is that I can see how they work together. So next what I need to do is, because we're going to have two legs, I need to differentiate between the left and the right. So I could manually do this by clicking on each joint and adding that in there, but there's an easier way. So if I select everything here and also the hip joint, I'm going to go over to, actually I'll just select the hip joint and then shift hip, sorry, control, so now just select these, so you want it appearing like that. And I'm going to go to modify, prefix hierarchy names. And in here, I'm just going to, now this one's going to be the character's left leg. So I'm just going to put in, you can put the whole word left, but I'm just going to put L in there for now. Go OK. And you can see that it's added that to all my different items here. So I'm going to press space, and since it's going to be the left leg, I'm just going to grab those things again, pressing W, just going to scoot them over to the side here, about 4 there if you want to get nice and even. And now we need to make a duplicate, but not only do we need to make a duplicate, we also need to create the other side. So I'm just going to grab the hip, and at skeleton we've got, where is it now? Mirror joints, but I'm going to click the options box here. So now I can have more options. I can say how it's going to be mirrored across. So now we want to move it along, let's see, right, you can see on my move axis here we've got Y and Z. We don't want to deal with X, so we're going to take X out. So Y and Z there, those are the two axes I want. And we're going to make sure that we search for L underscore, replace it with R for right underscore. I'm going to hit mirror. And voila, we've created our other leg. Now if you feel a bit too far apart, you can just grab and change the 4 value, but we'll do that, well, we can do that a bit later. Actually, I should do that now, because if you imagine there's going to be a pelvis in there, that's quite big hips for this character. So I'm just going to grab those and just move you in by half, so -2, and then same here, we'll just do that by 2. Sometimes it's good to have a nice whole numbers just to work with. So yeah, that looks a lot better. Now we need to start creating our controllers. So I'm going to do some side profile, and over I'm going to create, we want to create the curve tool. I'm going to bring in the CV curve toolbar and click on the little box here. And the reason for that is you may automatically set it on free cubic, which means if I go 1, 2, 3, or you can see after 3 it goes curved, etc. And sometimes that's good if you want to create curved shapes, but not for me. I want to create one linear, and so that keeps a straight line. So zooming into the foot a bit here, I'm just going to quickly plot my joints and holding shift to create a nice straight line. And now holding V, I'm going to click so it snaps back to position, pressing enter, and there I've created my shape. Now the only problem is I'm not quite happy with its point here, so I'm going to press D, and the D allows me to change its anchor point without having to change the actual positioning. So with D selected, I'm going to hold V down and just try and snap it to the ankle joint there. Now if I press space and go to the perspective view, you can see that it's done it right dead center. I actually want to snap it back, so make sure you've got it normally. Holding V down, I'm just going to snap it to here, so it's actually on the ankle joint. And I'm going to edit, duplicate, and just move it along, holding V down. So I've created 2 foot controls, and now I'm going to call them as such. So this one's going to be L_foot control, and this one will now be R_foot control. And just to make sure that they stay in position, because you notice with the foot here it's on -2, well, I want that to be 0. So with that selected, I can go to modify, freeze transformation, making this the default position for this curve tool, and do the same for the other side. Now the reason why you use curve tools is because when you render something, they disappear. So they're extremely handy when you're creating controls and such. So with all that done, we can go over to the outliner and do the finishing touches, which is simply to move the IKs into the controls. So I'm going to grab the left one, holding shift and grabbing all those. So I've got them selected, middle mouse button, click and drag and plop them into the left foot control. Doing the same for the right. So now if I grab that controller, I can now move my foot and it responds just exactly the way I want it to. And if I want it back into its default position, so if I move it up here, that goes up, I can always just go to here on my child box and change those to 0, and now it's in its default position. And that's how you do legs. So if there's a good chance to go File, Increment and Save. Ooh, I need to save first. I'll call this one Rig. And there you go. So we can carry on working with the rest of the skeleton.